Hey guys, welcome to the Awesome Sunday Show. If you don't know our names by now, you can go fuck yourself. And then we're not going to tell you.
My name's Eric,
Eric Cartman, he means.
and over there is Kyle Broflovsky.
No comment. All right, so today we're going to break this episode into two parts. The first half, we're going to talk about episode 2 of DareDevil. The episode's called Cut Man. And overall, it's a great episode, but we'll
It's about
get
me
into
in middle
that.
school.
Yeah. We'll get into that. And then the second half, we're going to talk superhero video games. Okay? So, all right. Connor, what was your impression of episode 2?
It was better than episode 1, obviously. You got to introduce some more characters. I think the best female character of the show was introduced, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Not saying Karen was not awesome.
Well, yeah, she is awesome, and she's also really big in the comics.
Yeah.
And that is Claire Temple, played by Rosario Dawson?
I think it's Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson, whatever. But
She's a babe.
She is, and I think it was a great casting because I really like her. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
All right, so it begins with her, or with this kid, and her finding Daredevil in a dumpster, beaten to fucking bloody pulp.
Yeah, that's where my parents found me when I was born.
And then so she, dumpster baby, prominent dumpster
no,
baby.
No, I'm not adopted. I'm just kidding.
And then so she brings her to his apartment, does the once over look at him. She's a nurse. Her name in the comic is Night Nurse, so that's basically the big role she plays.
Yeah, that's who she is.
And so she looks over Matt, tries to determine his injuries. And if you ever been knocked out before, they try to do see if your eyes react to the light. And this actually led to her saying something really funny. She goes, "Your eyes didn't respond to the light, so either you're blind or in your worse shape than I thought." And I don't know about you, but that made me really laugh.
Yeah, no, I laughed too because it's genuine. Like, if you were an actual nurse, if I was a nurse, I'd probably be a very good looking nurse. And I saw that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I would say this. I would say the same thing, but it is funny because it's true.
Yeah, it really is funny. And he goes, "Yeah, no, I'm blind." All right, so that's the first of many encounters. She's not in a ton of episodes this season, but she's going to have a bigger role next season. But she's still really important regardless.
Yeah, and when she's in, you can tell, she's very important, and she's crucial.
Yeah. I mean, she basically becomes Matt's go-to whenever he's, gets the shit bit out of him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she sewed him up. And then the next thing that happened that was great is after he wakes up and then, she applies first aid to him and whatever, he hears and smells this guy pretending to be a cop coming up the stairs. And it freaked her out because there was no one near there. And he goes, okay, he's going door to door and he's asking if you know this, this, and this. And it freaks her out. And I mean, it would freak me out too if, a blind person who could hear somebody walking in a building and smell them.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, that guy's going around basically just looking for Matt. And so Claire answers the door, lies to the guy, and then he leaves, gets on the phone, and then Matt goes, "Oh, well, he knows you're lying." She goes, "All right, how the fuck do you know that?" So then, before he comes back, once he comes back in, I think Matt attacks him that time.
Yes.
And then another great part of this episode is as the Russian guy's running down the stairs, Matt grabs a fire extinguisher and then perfectly times it for when he hits the floor. He just drops the fire extinguisher, knocks the guy out.
Yeah, it was almost like it was something out of the Three Stooges, but mixed with a little Daredevil.
Yeah.
It was funny. That whole 15-minute segment right there of her saying like what you said before, I don't know, either you're blind or you're worse shape than I thought, and then him just dropping it was it was funny. It was a perfect match of being action and cool and then laughing. I did find myself laughing too.
Yeah, which is surprising given what happens next. So Then they bring him to the roof, tie him up. Matt wakes him up, basically tries to interrogate him. Guy, of course, is unwilling to. So then Matt starts beating the shit out of him, punching him in like the ribs, trying to break his ribs and stuff. And then when he's not saying anything, Claire shows him a certain nerve in the guy, like above the guy's eye, gives him a knife.
Yeah.
And it was gory, but Matt stuck the knife in his eye, and then guy just spilled everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, like, if I saw that, I would have said my life story. Like,
yeah, like it was, and you just see him stab the knife right in the guy's eye, and it was fucked up. But it got the job done.
Yeah.
So then, guy starts just talking shit to Matt again. Matt gets sick of it, and then throws him off the roof, and he lands in the dumpster that Claire found Matt in, which is kind of funny or ironic, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they get to talking more. He's like, "Oh, all right, you need to get out of here. Take that kid if you need to." Blah blah blah. And then, so then what happens next is, let's see, Foggy and Karen basically go out for a night at the town.
Yeah.
And I really liked their scenes together in this episode. Like, it was very funny.
Yeah, it was funny, and like it was just another like last episode we talked about the Avengers and like the scenes where they would hang out, and the scenes in this, like in Daredevil, like when you see Foggy and Matt hang out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's, I don't know what it is with the Marvel movies, but like when they just show scenes, maybe it's just cool seeing like superheroes hang out, even though these people aren't superheroes that are hanging out, but they just do it good. Like,
yeah, it's a good break from everything else that happens in this episode, especially seeing that guy get a knife above his eye.
Yes.
So it was a good break, but they seem to have good chemistry. I really liked how they were joking around with each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, they got wasted.
Yeah. What did he say? There was an eel in the bottle or something?
Or what were they drinking?
Don't know.
I can't remember, but if it's tequila, there was a worm.
Yeah. So then the next day, Foggy shows up at the office. Karen's there, like, perfectly fine. Foggy walks in, hungover as fuck, and which was funny enough. And then Matt walks in, looking like shit. And they're like, "Oh, Matt, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Typical vigilante style. Oh, nothing. I was being careless."
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, given that he's blind. So it's like a bad thing to laugh at, but it's still funny.
Yeah. I mean, but that's another thing too, is like they're all friends, so like you can laugh at that. Like, if we had a friend that was blind, he goes, "I fell," like, and he was a good friend of ours, like we could make fun of him and get away with it. That sounds
friends.
terrible, because you're friends. If you're not friends, then you're just an ass.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So it's still funny, and that happens a lot more often throughout the series. And one thing with Claire and Matt in the scene before that, they basically had the standard "don't know if I could support a vigilante" conversation, which you see in basically every like amateur superhero type thing ever.
It has to be done though.
Yeah, like, I mean, it has to be done, but it's nothing new, but it has to be said, especially if their relationship plans on going forward. So yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of formulaic, but still important to the story,
right?
Without just being annoying and cheesy. So from torturing that guy, Matt finds out that the Russians are trying to set a trap for him by taking that kid, which we hear at the end of the first episode. Matt hears him on the rooftop screaming.
Yeah, it was a great way to end an episode.
Yeah. So then this one line that Matt said stuck out for me was, "I need you to know why I'm hurting you. It's not about the boy. It's because I enjoy it." Which is very sadistic, but badass for him to say.
Yeah.
And it just shows, like, the two sides to Matt Murdock.
Yep.
Like, he's, like, the caring lawyer friend, and then he can be sadistic when he needs to be.
Yeah. And, like, it shows, too, like, he's trying to send fear.
Yeah.
Because he's technically not the devil yet.
Yeah.
He's just a vigilante.
He's just, like, the guy in the black mask, or whatever the hell they call him.
Yeah. Like, it's... I think they do call him the Black Mask guy, or the Black Mask, like,
yeah, something like
they
that.
say something,
or the guy in the mask.
The guy, yeah, like, That's what they call me at parties. But anyway, that's all I have to say. But yeah, it says like looking at him, you're not really scared yet. It doesn't show any fear, so he has to instill fear with his words right now.
With his words and then kicking ass.
Yeah, exactly, and his feet.
Yeah, and obviously, like, Union Allied, that council has heard about him, so they send the Russians to, set up a trap, try to take care of him. They're kind of like, sounds stupid to say, but they're like the muscle of the council. Like, Fisk and the other members basically send them to do the dirty work and take care of people. And then, like, also in the episode, we see some flashbacks back to Matt's early childhood with his dad. After one boxing match, where he gets his ass kicked, and then it goes into another episode, another flashback of him going for the biggest match of his career, which I mentioned in the first episode. We see a poster of it and still up in the gym, and it's Creel versus Jack Murdoch, and it proves to be like crucial to the rest of Matt's life, and follows another like superhero formula of like either one or both parents being dead,
right?
Which happens when some Irish mobsters or whatever they are try to pay Jack off to throw the fight. Jack off.
I just thought the same thing.
That was completely unintentional. But, yeah, they want him to take a dive so they can make a shit ton of money.
Right.
And then, so...
It's never happened in a movie or TV show ever.
Oh, yeah, never.
Ever.
And then this happened while Jack was training and Matt was at the gym reading, and obviously Matt heard it. So later on that night, he tried basically hinting at his dad to try and convince him subtly not to take the dive and to show pride. What did he say? Murdoch's get knocked down and then get up again.
Yeah.
Thumb thumping, basically.
Yeah. I get knocked down.
So then Matt's watching or listening to the fight on TV, and you hear his dad getting his ass kicked, and then I guess his dad had a change of heart and remember what Matt said to him, but then just unloads on the guy, knocks him out, runs to the locker room because he knows he has to get the fuck out of there because those guys are going to break his knees or kill him. And then while he's in the locker room, like trying to get his shit and go, they hear him cheering for him. And so he just basically takes a moment to enjoy that. And then right after that, Matt's asleep at the kitchen table. Here's a gunshot. Runs out. And then just like his dad in the first episode, he just knew that it was his dad.
Yep.
And, then you see him crying. That was rough.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, like, it's like never... I mean, like, it's so well done, so that's why I don't mind. Like, it's like, oh, it's like saying it's great, but, like, it's never easy watching, like, a kid cry on a TV show.
Yeah.
But, like, I just, like, oh,
definitely not.
Yeah.
Your heart breaks, and then you start crying.
I didn't cry. I never cried ever before in my life.
Well, yeah, because... Yeah, all right, fine.
No,
Whatever.
that's a lie. But, yeah, what were we going to say?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just kidding about not ever crying.
Oh, so you're a bitch. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, then the rest of the episode, Wesley shows up at their office, right?
Yes.
And basically starts, saying everything he knows about them and how he basically investigated them, and then tries to hire them as retainer. So basically, like, what that means is they pay them, and whenever Wesley's employer, Fisk, needs him, then they'll take care of him. And then Matt at first is reluctant to do it, and that doesn't really play too much into this episode, but more into the next episode.
Yeah, it goes later on.
So then the major thing that happens in this episode is while Matt's still hurt, he goes to try and save the kid. And this scene, when he gets there, was just absolutely incredible.
It's, yeah, you're talking about what I think you're going to talk about, right?
I am.
Okay.
It is the one-shot battle against him and all the Russians. It's like in some sketchy basement, and it's all shot in one take. Like if you've seen Birdman, it's supposed to look like it's in one take, or if you've seen True Detective, that scene at the end of episode 6, I believe, after Rust infiltrates that biker gang and shit goes down or whatever.
I know what you're talking about, where
Yeah.
he's carrying the guy across the neighborhood.
Yeah. So
Yes, that was awesome.
it's basically that entire scene was shot in one take. They didn't edit together.
Mhm.
I'm sure they filmed it multiple times and then picked the best one. But it's one continuous fight between rooms, and then like there's like a dozen Russians or something.
Yeah, it's literally insane. It's, I think, and you definitely know this too. What clearly inspired that scene?
Well, actually, it's Old Boy and then Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Were the first two things I came to think of it, and it's like we said, the fights are so well choreographed. Like that's
Right.
one of their biggest inspirations is like Japanese and Asian kung fu movies and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it really shows. Like this was literally an homage.
Yeah,
to
and
those.
and you know what it is? It's like it really it's improved over those two, because like Battle Royale and Old Boy aren't exactly the highest budgeted movies.
Yeah.
It don't have like, and not that there's anything wrong with the production of it, but like you can just see like this has some sort of grounding, Daredevil, so they're able to pull off more. But when you watch Battle Royale and Old Boy, and you see those scenes, they're still so well done.
Yeah.
And especially the scene in Old Boy, it's known as the elevator scene in Old Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Where what's his face has the hammer.
Yeah.
And he's like Thor, man. He's bringing the hammer down.
Yeah.
And he just kicks so much butt in that hallway.
And like if you've seen the American remake of Old Boy,
which isn't as bad as everyone says.
it's not as bad, but it's not as good as the other one, but they still have a badass scene like that.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of Old Boy was Josh Brolin.
Dude, he could be in a movie where he just like farts in a toilet and he's just sitting there, and I would still like it because it's Josh Brolin.
Yeah, and we already talked about how much we liked him in our intro podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the same thing happens in the American remake, and it's badass. And then Daredevil just puts it to you so well. And what's more like significant about it is it's the same episode that Matt has like broken ribs, got like a punctured lung, concussion, all that stuff. And he's fighting all them with those same injuries. It didn't take place like weeks later, days later. It was the same day, probably within like 2 hours or so.
And it shows when he's fighting them. Like he looks like he's almost done. Like physically can't go on anymore. But he has to. Goes.
After he knocks one guy out, he takes like a quick breather until the next guy comes, and you could see him just writhing in pain, yet he still took all of them out.
Yeah.
Which is impressive, and it shows the drive he has to save that boy and to protect Hell's Kitchen and to take out who he needs to take out.
Yep.
Like he's just so committed to it, and which was just as impressive as the filming of that scene.
Yeah, and what's great too is like it was one shot, but the camera still turns. And it's not like a stamina like or it's not stamina that's the wrong word. It's not a fixed steady cam as in like it's just going like in one motion, like moving like on a rail.
Yeah, it really shows the entire environment.
Yeah, it does. You get a feel of the whole setting of that scene.
Yeah. And
it's so good. It's so well done. It's amazing. It's really like I can't like how long did that scene go on for?
It was at least 5 minutes, I think. Maybe a little bit more, but it was that 5-minute scene was like the best of the entire episode.
Yeah, it's just and like you know what it is. It's like we like last episode we talked about how good of an actor Charlie Cox was for pretty much being two people. You have to be a blind guy and you have to also deliver lines and be serious about it too. Yeah. In this episode, it's kind of the same way. You have to show how much pain you're in while you're fighting a bunch of guys and then show your determination on saving this kid, and you believe it. Like if I was there and I didn't see any cameras and I just watched this whole scene, I would be like, oh my god, this guy, look, I can't believe he's doing all this.
Watching that scene, I was just like literally in awe because it was so well choreographed. It was so well shot. And then just the fact that it was a one-shot take for this huge fight scene with like 12 or more Russian guys, and then just Matt Murdock, injured as hell, taking them all out, and then like throwing them through doors and everything, smack them over the head with like random objects while wincing in pain from like broken ribs and crap. Still takes him out, saves the boy in one shot, which was awesome. And like it just, the way that was filmed just shows how great, in my opinion, the cinematography of this series is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I almost just like, if someone's like not sure about watching this show, like, I don't know how I feel, like I'm not into superhero shows or whatnot, I'm like, you could just show them that scene and be like, all right, here, I'm going to show you the scene, and then like I guarantee you they'd be hooked. Yeah,
regardless of how you felt about the episode overall, I thought it was a good episode, no doubt about that. But that scene made the entire episode, and it was one of the 100%, best.
Yeah.
Like, or at least tied for the best, if not the best fight scene in the entire series, which is really saying something.
Yeah, I think so. I personally think it's the best scene, but there are scenes that come close.
Yeah,
like very close,
and we'll talk about those more like future episodes. But I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was this episode in particular only occurred at night, and the lighting was dim as hell the entire time.
Yeah, they kept it consistent.
Yeah, they kept it consistent, and it was key to the episode. It really set the tone for the episode, and I think like this episode in particular sets the dark tone and grittiness and like how dark the Daredevil story is for the entire season. Like, this episode just set all that up and put it into motion, and was like, even with the minimal lighting, it still was fantastic. And really the lightest part of the episode, which not talking about literal light, was Karen and Foggy's night out.
Yeah.
Like, that was the brightest part of the episode.
Yeah, it was. And like, it was good, and it was perfect because you're watching like the saddest, darkest like scene like in this probably so far this season, or just in that season in general. Yeah. But then you get like genuine lighthearted, hey, we're going out. Like,
yeah, like as brutal as the episode was, it still had some fun aspects.
And the whole time they're like, oh, where's Matt? Like, why is he answering his phone? It's like, it's literally when you go out with your friends, it's like, oh, where's so-and-so? Like, why aren't they answering their phone? Like,
yeah, we know some people like that.
Yeah.
But what was funny, too, is when they go, other than calling him, they go to his apartment, and they're banging on the door, drunk as hell, like, trying to get him to come out and everything. And then his neighbor across the hall just comes out, gives him a death look, and Foggy's drunk. He's like, oh, you want to come to the fish market, blah, blah, blah. And it was just hysterical.
Yeah.
And but like it shows like the start of Foggy and Karen's like camaraderie relationship that we see later on in the season.
Yep. And it's like it gives you it's gives you a taste of like who they're going to be.
Yeah. And it's kind of significant that their fun took place without Matt, because it represents how busy Matt will be and how determined he is. His focus is on protecting Hell's Kitchen, so he's going to be absent from like their hangouts or the time that they spend together. He's going to be absent from that very often,
just because of who he's choosing to be.
Yeah. So like that shows that. And I think it was a really great episode. It was one of my favorite episodes of the entire season. And then even without that fight scene at the end, I think that a lot of important stuff came up that regardless if that still wasn't in it, it would still be a great episode.
Yeah, it would. The fight scene didn't make the episode great, it
It was just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you couldn't have a better analogy for it at all.
It's like when you go from like semi, like a little chub,
Yeah,
to like full. Right?
So yeah, you're just like raging, like.
Yeah. So we didn't rate the last episode, but what would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give the first episode like a 9, and I would give this episode a 10.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and this is, I think there's so many episodes that are 9 and 10s. Like, there's not really a bad episode at all.
Like, there might be like 1 or 2 8s.
Yeah, which are still great.
Yeah, it's still better than most of everything that's coming out.
Yeah,
like,
that's really saying something when like 8 out of 10s is like the lowest score for an episode of your season.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even give it an 8, maybe like an 8.5. Like,
yeah,
and
you could think different, and it is what it is, but there's not one weak episode
at all.
And this one shows like even more so the real potential this show has, and how committed they are to the direction and balance between Matt Murdock and Daredevil, which he still doesn't have the name yet. He's still the Man in Black.
Yeah, he still is the Man in Black. He still has that crap costume. Which, and when I say crap costume, yeah, it's a crap costume, but it makes sense why it's crappy.
Yeah,
like we said that in the first episode, and it actually I think it's better for the show.
Yeah, it makes sense because he's just starting out. He's not super wealthy. He doesn't have the superpower of money, but he's still kicking ass.
The best superpower.
And he's becoming known, like, as the Man in the Mask, more than just like regular old gangsters, but like his actions are starting to spread, and it's worrying Fisk and his little group, and like even regular civilians are starting to pick up on it. Like Claire, the reason Claire helped Matt, she said, was because she's a nurse at like the main hospital there. I don't know the name of it, but one night,
imagine it was called Hell's Hospital.
That'd be fucked. One night, like, I think it was the night in the first episode, his first attack of like that little mob that were trying to kidnap those girls to sell as sex slaves. She said that night, like, I don't know, like 6 or more guys were taken in with a shit ton of broken ribs, and then the girls that he saved were at the hospital too, and were talking about the Man in the Mask who protected them and saved their lives. And then Claire, makes the connection between the two.
Because she's not stupid.
Yeah. She's not ignorant to anything in the episode. She's more aware of what's going on than the other characters, and she's not even in like a majority of the episodes. No,
she's not. But like that's the thing. Like I hope she's more prominent in season 2.
From what I hear, she will be.
Good.
At least from Rosario's Dawson's recent interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously she's getting asked about it all the time. And, like, even the producers are talking about it. Like, they have the direction they want. And, like, they kind of know what they're going to do. So I think her role will increase, and I'm going to be very happy about that.
Good. Yeah, because she was awesome. She was one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt. And, I mean, like, she's also a necessity. Like, you can't, like...
Yeah.
Like, the guy isn't invulnerable. So...
Yeah, exactly. And he needs somebody to, patch him up. Like, if he goes to the hospital and he goes there, like, every other day with all that stuff, like, obviously they're going to know something's up, but Claire's going to do it. She's going to do it with complete secrecy, keep his secret down. He doesn't even tell her his real name in the episode. She just goes, fine, I'll call you Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And... yeah, so she doesn't even know.
She came close.
She doesn't even know his real name, and she decides to help him. And like she'll be more in future episodes. But for now, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll get back in just a little bit.
Our next topic is a nice topic that you might want to participate with your friends.
It's about it.
It's exactly it.
And Robbie Kaiser being a bitch. I mean, it's just the truth.
Sorry, Robbie.
Not sorry.
Yeah, not sorry.
All right, we'll be back.
Just take a little break. So, before we said we had a nice little topic that was fun, that you might want to participate with your friends. No, it's not about AIDS. It's not about Robbie. We're actually, like I said, it's a fun topic. Pat, you want to know what my topic is?
Sure.
Okay. So, Batman Arkham Knight came out yesterday. No.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday. All right.
And we're recording this on the 24th. So it was the 23rd that Arkham Knight came out.
Okay.
But we're not putting it up this week, so just give you an actual date.
Exactly. So when you hear things like yesterday and they're like, wait, hold on a second, it doesn't make any sense, it's because we recorded it a different day.
Yeah, we're not recording it on Sundays. We're just putting it up on Sundays.
Hence the name Awesome Sunday Show. But anyway, so Pat, I have not played it yet. I'm getting it next week because right now I am in the middle of a couple games. But how do you like Batman Arkham Knight?
It's awesome. I think it's, another great release by Rocksteady and just another awesome Batman game and game in general. And I was also in the middle of some games like Sleeping Dogs and The Witcher, but I'm not a bitch and I dropped it for Batman.
All right. Well, games like Super Smash Brothers are, I feel like...
That's your crack.
That is my crack. I play that game every day. I'm good. And I really want to challenge people that are good too to make me better. But that's not the topic.
Damien, what he's saying is he could kick your ass.
Damien, I'm so much better than you. So my topic is, since the Batman Arkham games are critically acclaimed, and they're a huge success, and I love the series. I can't wait to pick up Arkham Knight. But so my topic is, what superhero would you want to see not be the same, not like a clone, but get like the treatment of getting like an actual video game that's critically acclaimed? Like what hero would you want to see shine like that?
See, it's kind of tough. I mean, one I'll say that's in the Batman family is Nightwing, and that's only because I think Dick Grayson's a great character. I love Nightwing.
I completely agree.
And like he does appear in the Arkham series, except in the smallest dose, and like I would love more, especially to play as him more.
Yeah.
So, other than that, like it's tough because most superhero video games, with the exception of Spider-Man 2 and the Arkham games, have been shit, especially the ones that come out with the movie or right after the movie.
Oh, yeah, like the Iron Man games.
Or the Captain America game.
There was a really good Hulk game, though, for PlayStation 2 called Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
Oh, yeah, that one. All right, that's fair. But someone I would love to see with the game... if we're talking Marvel, I'd love to see a good Iron Man game.
Yeah.
Like a good one.
Because you can almost get a sense from the Batman Arkham games of getting like sweet upgrades.
Yeah. And, Tony Stark is always upgrading his armor, and he has like 1,000 armors. So seeing that in a game well utilized and not just something that's ripping, just exactly like the movie would be good. Because, like, I think it's really important in superhero games to have upgrades and stuff. Like, you don't want them just starting off, like, powerful as hell. Plus, I just like that idea in video games.
Yeah.
Like, in general. So, yeah, I'd love to see an Iron Man one. Guardians of the Galaxy would be great. I think it would.
Yeah. I would want to see that as, like, remember that game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah.
Like, you did that with Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe? But how would you like to see it?
See, I don't know. I just would love to see a good game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as it's good.
Another. See, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to pick because there are some that I feel like wouldn't just fit well in a game. Like a Thor game. I don't think I'd enjoy. Hulk, depending on the direction they take it.
I feel like a Hulk game would be more fun than a Thor game.
Oh, yeah.
Thor, I feel like would be good, like in a game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where it's like a team-based game. Like That's where you could see Thor shine.
Yeah. But in DC, I don't know. That's tough. Who would you like to see?
I'm very specific right now. Do you remember, like, obviously you're familiar with action games like God of War, Devil May Cry. I would love to see a Ghost Rider game in that style.
Oh God. They'd have Ghost Rider would be cool in that style. I mean, he is a cool character. I mean, the Ghost Rider movies were, steaming piles of shit.
Well, that's why I like them, though. Well, I like them because they're bad. And it's because it's Nicolas Cage. Which, Nicolas Cage is a good actor. He's just in a lot of crap.
He is. He just takes any role that comes across his desk, basically.
Yeah.
But they did release a Ghost Rider game, I think, with that, and it was awful.
Sure it was,
so they really need to redeem themselves with that, I think.
Yeah, I would love to see an excellent Ghost Rider game. I feel like that's like a superhero. You can take him and be like, you know what? Like, we can actually make a sweet game out of this.
Yeah.
Let's, he's got a chain. Like,
give some redemption to the character as well.
Yeah, like that's something that needs something good going his way.
Yeah.
I know he's got like these I know they released new Ghost Rider comics by Marvel. I don't know if they're any good or not. I haven't read them. It's like a new Ghost Rider. But yeah, I would just love, like, you can almost get a sense of, like, because the way Kratos attacks in God of War, he's got blades on chains and he throws them. Like, you can kind of do the same thing with Ghost Rider, and he just whips his chain around.
Yeah, and then you include his motorcycle. That's another aspect of gameplay, which they did in Arkham Knight. They finally included the Batmobile, and it's so much fun.
Yeah,
like, just imagine riding Ghost Rider's motorcycle around.
And that would be sweet. So you can almost get a sense of, like, you can get the element of that from Batman, and then, like, the action element from games like Devil May Cry or God of War get inspired by that. So kind of mix the two together.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, it's combining two great different styles of games.
Yeah, and I like Ghost Rider. I think he's a cool character. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Punisher would be cool.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's a good idea.
I mean, because, like, he's another vigilante. He's got, like, a crazy arsenal of weapons, and he's got some pretty good storylines, I think.
Yeah, that's another anti-hero, too.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be, like, first person. And, yeah, he's definitely a great anti-hero. And if they include, like, if they were to make a Punisher game, I'd want them to include other superheroes, like, maybe in, like, low-key ways, and because Punisher's not afraid to kill people. That's kind of his thing. He doesn't draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. There is no lines with Punisher.
So maybe, like, you could even have him go against some major heroes who are trying to stop him from killing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play the Deadpool game?
I have not.
I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. Like, it's kind of it's like a third person shooter. I mean, the best part about it is the dialogue. And I like games with, like, a balance of action and, like, strategy gameplay and, like, RPG style, but if it has bland dialogue, it kind of takes me out of it.
Yeah, and, like, unfortunately a lot of games have that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not every game's The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's this bad story in games.
Wait, so you mentioned The Last of Us. That's kind of a linear game type of play. It's not open world. Would you want a superhero movie that's linear like that, or would you want
game? You mean superhero game?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, okay.
Or would you want one like Arkham Knight that's kind of open world? Or does it depend on the character?
Depends on who it is. Like the Ghost Rider game, I would not want open world. That's got it. That has to be linear.
Yeah.
Just because of the gameplay style. I feel like if it's something like an Iron Man game you were talking about, or like Batman Arkham Knight,
mm-hmm.
a Superman game would have to be open world, depending on the powers and abilities.
Yeah.
It depends on the world that you need.
That's true. Yeah, like those characters you mentioned, other than Ghost Rider, would definitely need an open world,
mm-hmm.
just because of the gadgets they have and the powers they have. You don't want Superman flying, like not having the room to fly, or like room to use his like heat vision or anything like that.
Did you ever play the Superman 64 game?
Let's not mention it.
I played it. I used to own it.
It's fucking terrible.
It's so bad.
It really is. Like, it makes like the Iron Man 1 video game look like gold.
Yeah, it's the worst game of all time.
I think it's one of the worst rated games of all time too.
Yeah, it might be. It's definitely up there with like E.T. and like Bugsby 3D or something like that.
God, that's just hysterical that those are even games. So are there any other DC characters you'd like to see?
As far as DC goes, it's a really good question. I would love to see a Green Arrow game.
I was gonna say that. I love the character Green Arrow, and the type of game in my mind that I have with Green Arrow is, did you play the newest Tomb Raider?
No, I didn't.
Chance?
I've played it, but I didn't. I've played it before, but I don't own it. Like, I didn't beat it.
Oh, okay. Well, so you know the game style about that, like, it's kind of open world-ish, but like you really have to, scrape together weapons, and then one of my favorite things to do in that game is use the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that would be a great addition to, like if you throw Green Arrow and mix in most of the elements of Tomb Raider, I think it could be great. But yeah, Green Arrow is definitely a character I'd like to see.
I think that's a really good idea. That is a really good idea.
Yeah, and you think about it, like you can also like, you don't want to have just like every superhero just be like the only characters in like their group within the game. And like Arrow's got some pretty good teammates. He's got Arsenal, he's got Black Canary, he's got John Diggle, who they made for the Arrow TV show, but now he's in the comics, and he's the fucking man, and I would love him in it. And then plus you can throw in like Batman characters too, or any other Justice League characters really. You could even throw in the Flash, because Oliver Queen and Barry Allen are great friends.
That's true.
And that'd be sweet.
Yeah, and like you can almost cross out, like you can almost make it like put it in the Batman Arkham universe too.
Yeah, it's true. Like how Robin and Nightwing appear in Oracle and stuff.
Yeah. That'd be sweet. That's a really good idea. I think I would like. I think now if I had to have a top two, it would be the Arrow game you're talking about, and the Ghost Rider game.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Injustice game was like awesome.
I love that game.
Was, if you never played that, it's similar to Mortal Kombat. For those who have played Mortal Kombat and not Injustice, it's basically that with Justice League characters and villains, and then with just an incredible story.
Yeah, I love the story. And like for a fighting game to have a good story is like crazy, because like I love Street Fighter. Street Fighter 4 I really liked until like every other Street Fighter game. There was like 6 versions of it, and I'm not paying $40 every time. Update like do what Smash Brothers does. Just update the game normally for free, and then if they use more characters, release them as DLC.
Yeah, thanks, instead Capcom. Of like Mortal Kombat releasing single characters for $5.
Yeah.
Or like the horror pack with Jason Voorhees was like $10. I
bought the season pass for Mortal Kombat X, and I kind of wish I didn't.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like the Witcher developers did it right. They like the game itself was great, and then they threw in like 16 different free DLC content, and then they have other content that's like $10, but it's like you get a lot of value for your $10. It's not just like one extra mission.
A lot of bang for your buck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus the Injustice game, like the story's so good that people have put it together as a movie on YouTube. So you should definitely watch it if you don't play the game. But I think a Marvel game similar to that with like another like quality story could be great.
Not a Marvel versus Capcom. I would want Capcom to develop it though.
Yeah.
Because because as much as I love the Mortal Kombat and Injustice games, they're not very technical. They're a lot of fun. Except Mortal Kombat X is very technical though. Like,
well, I mean, it depends on what you're looking to play for. Like,
right.
some people like to play for a challenge. I myself like enjoy like a little bit of challenge, but I enjoy it more for like for enjoyment, like for fun.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfect. But I would want my Marvel fighting game to be like a technical one.
Yeah.
I would want like it's like all right, like this is a tournament fighter, like King of Fighters, Marvel vs. Capcom, Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, but Tekken, Soul Calibur. Like I want like I would want it to be like that caliber of a fighting game. So I would want Capcom to like almost put like the Street Fighter team behind. All right, we're gonna make a dedicated Marvel fighting game. And just like have like don't and not and the thing about fighting games today is like as much as I appreciate it, every fighting game has to have like 50 or something characters.
Yeah, instead of just like well, like the Injustice game. I mean, it's got what like maybe 20 characters tops,
Something like that, yeah.
but it's good. You don't need 50 characters.
Yeah, and like the only game where like I want a million characters is Super Smash Brothers because it makes sense.
Yeah,
like you need like it's like oh like who are we gonna get next? But like for something like if they were to do like a Marvel fighting game, like I would want like 15.
That's pretty good. I mean, like there's a lot of Marvel characters that you just don't
10.
need at all. Yeah, 10.
Even if you give me 10.
And like with certain characters, I feel like the technical aspect you're talking about would go really well with their characters and their styles.
Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, like think about this. Like Killer Instinct was Xbox One launch game. I think it was like 8 characters, not even 8 characters. Started off at launch, and they said they were just to support the game and release characters throughout. I don't even think there's like 12 characters in that game yet, and people play the hell out of that game.
Really?
Because it's so technical. Like it really is, and like I would honestly like I almost thought about getting an Xbox One just to get Killer Instinct.
Really?
It's so good. I wish it was on PlayStation.
Yeah. With something like that though, like with the fighting games, like they need like releasing characters. I would want them to release characters in groups.
Yes.
You know, like how Smash Brothers been like they just released 3 characters together. I'd like to see, 3 to 5 character releases. I mean, especially if you're going to charge for them like $5 and you're getting 5 characters, that's great. Like I'd pay $1 a character depending on who the characters are.
I think the latest Super Smash Bros. DLC for $30, there was a whole bundle, of like a bunch of skins.
Yeah.
Like Ryu, Roy, and Lucas, plus the Street Fighter stage, plus the Miiverse stage, plus the Kirby's Dream Land stage. And it wasn't just for Wii U; it was also for 3DS.
Really?
Yeah. So and I got it, and for $30, I got it for both systems with all that stuff, and it was. I'm telling you right now, it was well worth it.
Yeah. See, like that's something you're really getting a lot of value out of.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of DLC lately is missing that. And for a superhero game, regardless of the type of game it is, you really need to get a lot of value out of the game itself and then any additional content.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of like the only characters I would like to see. Like I feel not the only characters I would like to see. Those are like the best characters I would like to see, or also Hawkeye and Black Widow. Like not even individual games, like those two together.
Yeah, because they both bring a different element for like one game. That would be a lot of fun.
It would be, and like they have a lot of history together that hasn't been explored yet, but maybe the game could do it.
A lot of history.
Yeah. You can't see it, but Connor was doing like the fucking motion with his hands. And like I think that their different styles and their history together could make for a great game. Whether you have to switch between the characters, like different missions, or do like was it Army of One or Army of Two, where you have Army of Two. You have 2 characters that you can switch between at the same time instead of like using them separately, which I think might actually work well for Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Right.
And I think that would be a great game, those 2 together.
That would be a very good game. Yeah, because it doesn't have to be a single superhero. You can have like 2 or 3. Like a Fantastic Four game would be awesome. If you're talking about bringing different elements, like all right, like if I were to do a Fantastic Four video game, I would have it. You can pick, like you can either play it multiplayer with 4 different people, local or online, because screw games that don't do local multiplayer at all. It's lazy, because I like playing with people on a couch. Thank God and thank God Nintendo's still around to do that. But I was like, it's like, all right, so if you were to do
like a co-op story,
or not even that, just like if you were to want to play by yourself, which is kind of how I do prefer to play games sometimes. All right, like so, like one stage has like 4 different ways to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, so do you want to complete it the Reed Richards style? So you do it a totally different way. The Thing, Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and it kind of gives you an incentive to go back. And it's like you can only do certain things if you do Human Torch.
Yeah, it's a new experience. Every
time. So like if you do those type of missions, it kind of gives you it gives the replay value a lot, and then like you unlock new things and stuff. So like I think a Fantastic Four game would be really good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's like a small team, but they all have really, really different powers, and that's a great point. Like, you can go back and play from a different standpoint, the same level over and over again. Did you ever play the X-Men game for Super Nintendo, where you get to be Cyclops, Wolverine, Beast, Psylocke, and Gambit?
Yes.
And how they all have their own levels, and then I like that game a lot.
Oh, it's for Sega Genesis, too.
Yeah, it was on that. I thought that was cool. Like, you can pick the character.
I still have that game.
I have it on my phone, and like each character has their own levels, but you play as them pretty much differently. They all have their own like superpower, like special moves, I would say. And
it's
then, like,
such bullcrap that Wolverine can't have his claws out the whole time.
That is annoying.
That's so annoying.
But you can climb up walls using his claws.
It's just cool,
which is sweet. And then Gambit was probably my favorite character to use. Like, his level was great. I just love Gambit.
Yeah, well, Gambit is the best character to use in that game because his staff is so long.
I'm sure that's
we're gonna get a lot of innuendos in the show that we're just gonna start laughing
like
at.
Once you start getting his special moves, and you get his card powers in, I think that's fun. I think Gambit and Beast were my 2 favorite to use.
Beast is just my favorite mutant in general, so I'd like to be Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Beast and Nightcrawler all the way. I like Blue.
Like the X-Men Cabinet Arcade game,
which is also amazing.
That is amazing.
There's a lot of good X-Men games.
There really is, and like
X-Men Legends.
And like the good thing about, I mean, like obviously the X-Men has a huge roster, but when you narrow it down like that, it can be a lot of fun. And you can still do the same thing like that, like you mentioned with Fantastic Four. You could put something towards it like X-Men, because they all have like a really different array of powers, and you could just do so much with each character. Yeah.
That's very true. That would be like a long game to develop, but it would be well worth it. I'm trying to think of what else like could work. I mean, if you think about it, there's been a lot. There was a Wolverine game that was the same style, like an action game. Yeah, do you remember that? It was better than it was a tie-in. It was a tie-in game with the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine.
God, that movie.
But that movie sucked.
But the game was better than the
game
movie.
was good. I remember the game being good. I remember going over to my friend John's house, and he's like, "Dude, I got the new Wolverine game," and I was like, "Cool, let's play something else." And he goes, "No, it's actually good." I'm like, "You're a fag. There's no way this is good." And he goes, "Dude, I'm telling you, play it." And we played it all night, and it was a lot of fun. It wasn't like a perfect game, but for what it did right, it did right. It was good.
Yeah, like if you balance the mechanics with a great story, that's what I'm looking for. And I think, it can't just be pure mechanical or pure story. Like The Order, 1886. Fuck that game.
I will never play it.
Like, it was you listen to people talk more than you actually play it. And I'm glad I didn't pay money for it. I got it off 99 Gamers. But it was literally like a 4-hour game, and you probably move your character and play as him like 15 minutes. So any game that's like that is bullshit. It needs to have a good balance between the two.
Yeah, I mean, like, and there's games that are just pure story, like the Walking Dead game by Telltale. Pretty much any Telltale games.
Telltale is them and Marvel signed a deal, they're going to be doing a game series together.
But see, why would you want to play a superhero game?
But if you think about it, there are some like great storylines that can work well like that. Like The Walking Dead season 1 and 2, like you would think you would battle zombies more, but it's more important, and like I think the experience was better because of how story driven it was, and then they throw in some like movements and action moves to pick. And with games like that, like if Marvel, like that Telltale game with Marvel, every Telltale game, you can, there's like what, 4 or 5, sometimes 6 options for every like key moment, and literally every option leads to a different experience for what comes next and next and next, and you can play the story and have different components each time you play it.
Right.
And then especially like the Telltale games, they're separated into episodes. So like for season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead, they had like maybe 5 episodes each, and each episode is affected by what you did before that. So I think that I'm looking forward to that Marvel Telltale game. And sure, it's not going to be like superhero, like, you know, action and all that, but yeah, I think it'll work out well because there's just some really good storylines.
And I agree. And like, I'm not knocking the Telltale games. I'm not into them, but I've watched some people play them, and they are fascinating. It's just, and like for a game like The Wolf Among Us, or the Telltale Game of Thrones, the game
great.
Makes complete sense. I just can't get over being Spider-Man, or like whatever they pick, like you're Thor or somebody, and it's
it has to be certain characters that it would work out.
Yeah, but then if it's like oh, Spider-Man presents, or Telltale presents Spider-Man, and it's like,
well, they don't have each episode to be a different character, and
it could, but
they've been good at balancing.
I just can't imagine like just press A for Spider-Man to do this, and it's like, no, I want to like swing around and beat the crap out of people.
Yeah, but
it's not a knock against Telltale. It's just not. I feel like it's not the right.
But it's a different experience. Like, you don't want the same game after game after game. I think Telltale provides like a different experience.
It's true, and I'm like I said, I'm not knocking Telltale. I think what they do is amazing, but it's just not what, like, I wouldn't want a Marvel game from Telltale.
Well, the good thing about the Telltale games is like, if you want to give it a shot, you can buy episodes individually for like $5 or something. So like, for something like that, like, you could like, it may not be the best choice of like property to do, but it could be interesting, could not be, and you don't have to buy you wouldn't have to buy a $60 game to see how well it is. Like,
I don't even think the full package is $60.
No, it's like $25.
Yeah,
and but you know, I think it's interesting, and I'm definitely gonna try it out.
Yeah,
I mean, I might be biased because I enjoyed all the Telltale games I played. Game of Thrones still has 2 or 3 episodes that they're gonna release, but it kind of sucks because they're releasing them like every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah,
I know, like the Walking Dead ones didn't take that long, right?
I don't know, because I bought them after they were released. Like, I bought the entire season.
Okay.
And then I did the same thing with Wolf Among Us.
I didn't play the Wolf Among Us.
It's good. The story is just really, really cool, and I really want to read the Fables, like, storyline and stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that wraps up this podcast for today. So, I guess just to send off, Pat, what is, at all the games we talked about, maybe your opinion's changed? What do you feel is what you would want to see now? Is it still the same as what you thought before, or now have you been like completely changed your mind?
No, I think I'm kind of still like feeling what I said.
Yeah.
And like some of the things you said, maybe you could even mix the two. I would play certain ones just because of the character that's in it, or the characters.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't even matter what the gameplay is. I'm willing to try different ones, but for me, like, the character would make or break it.
I had my heart set on the Ghost Rider game that I said, but when you explained how you wanted the Arrow game, I was like, maybe I want to play that a little more.
Yeah, I'm
not sure though.
If you played like the entire game of the Tomb Raider, like, you would really see how well it could work out.
Right.
I mean, and like, that's why I like.
You're right. Yeah. Like, and I like when I actually have like a when I can wrap my head around it, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and for those who have played Tomb Raider and know what like the Green Arrow is like, it would. I mean, if you agree or disagree, let us know. If you have any other suggestions for games like that or for the podcast overall, comments or any shit talking you want, you could always do that. You know,
you can make fun of the sound of my
comment.
voice. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you could text us or you can talk about how big of a bitch Connor is and how.
But if you're gonna do that, be sure to like the video, share the video, rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, just help us out. Otherwise, we're gonna stop doing this, and we're gonna cry in the closets.
Yeah, help a brother out.
Yeah, don't be a bitch like Robbie Kaiser. Come on.
Yeah,
or Rob L. or Joe really,
or pretty much all of our friends. Actually, no, I take that back. They're like the ones like supporting us the most.
Yeah, and we really, really, really appreciate that. We can't convey that enough. Like, it's like just from the first episode, like seeing you guys share it was awesome. Like, we had a great time doing it, regardless. But like seeing you guys giving us feedback and everything, it meant a lot.
And advice too, and like it all comes from like a good place, which I'm like really appreciative of.
Special shout out for advice to Bill Pivets and Tom Cotter.
Yeah, especially them.
They gave us some great advice. And listen to Bill's podcast. It's